welcome back to another video. This one is kind of like a start of me doing some projects. This is my first project that I did with me and my husband, and it's a his and hers cup. I keep cutting out, as you can see, like 12-inch by 12-inch pieces, but honestly I shouldn't have, because the piece that I'm doing with the pink, it was literally two small little bitty nose holes. Either way, we're still using a huge sheet when we could have cut off a piece. But yeah, this is my first time using my Cricut, and I again am so satisfied with how the Cricut cuts, how easy it is to use versus the Cameo Silhouette. If y'all didn't watch my last video, make sure you go watch it, because it is a pretty much a then versus now. 3 years ago I brought the Cameo, and you could tell in the video I was just so distraught about it, and it just wasn't cutting perfectly, and it kept cutting through the mat. This Cricut, I don't know if it has a sensor or what, or if it's the mats that are a lot more durable, but I have not cut through the mat or cut down to the mat to where it would destroy it at all, and I love it so much. So this next part is just me taking apart the pieces and putting it on the transfer tape and just getting it all together. For any of y'all that are new, I have worked with my aunt on vinyl, so it's not like this vinyl stuff is new. I just finally have my own vinyl cutter, and I have my own projects that I can do. Before this, I worked with my aunt, and she owns Caitlin's Creations, or Caitlin's, I want to say it was like Caitlin's, or Designs by Caitlin. But one, my aunt, she's nice enough to where she gives me some files, or she gives me some pointers on how to do vinyl and stuff like that. And everything that I've practically learned was from her, and all of my techniques that I use is from her. Maybe not all, but if y'all see anything that's a bad technique or a bad habit that I'm doing, I did not get that from her. That is probably just purely me. But if you could see, the eyes or the face that I'm making is a light fury. I had black, and then there's gray over it. This had a black outline on it, like a black offset, I guess you could say, and you couldn't see it. So the next time, I had to do this twice, which you will see later in the video why. But yeah, I ended up taking off that offset and putting less pieces to use for the Light Fury face. If y'all haven't guessed already, this is the Light Fury and Night Fury from the DreamWorks How to Train Your Dragon. I got this from a girl on Etsy. I'll put her Etsy account down below in the description. There's the other one. Super excited. The bottom's gonna have a little bit of a glitter butt, or I'm gonna put a glitter butt at the bottom of these to hide all of the scratches and stuff. But I'm excited. And then I did seal this with the UV resin, so the face is sealed on this one. We're about to do the same over here. So I'm excited. So I didn't show the scales and how I place the scales. The scales is a different design that I got off of Cricut. You can get a bunch of dragon scales, mermaid scales, cutout or SVG files on Etsy or on the Cricut design space. And I'm sure the Cameo, if you're working on Cameo, has the same kind of design space software where you can buy from somebody. But if you just look up mermaid or dragon scales, the mermaid scales, you put a gap in between all of the scales, but the dragon scales, you overlap. So that's how people differentiate between mermaid scales and dragon scales. Mermaid scales, there's a gap between each scale, so you can put like a glitter peekaboo underneath the scales or in between the scales. And the dragon scales, you want them overlapping, because that's what dragon scales do. Even though that's what mermaid scales also do, there's just a well-known rule in the crafting area, I guess, to do it, to leave a space between mermaid scales. I don't know. But This is me putting the face together and making sure that all of those little bitty dots stay down. This vinyl that I got, this was like HTV Ron or something. It's a vinyl company on Amazon, and I highly recommend them. They have HTV, permanent, temporary, all kinds of vinyls, but I like this one because it really stuck to the transfer tape and it peeled off so nicely, and I love it so much. If you can tell, I'm putting black on black, and you're probably wondering, why would you do that? How can you see that? But if you are a avid tumbler maker, there is a technique to make a leather looking or embossed leather looking tumblers, and I'm using that same technique. Since everything is all black, I'm going to paint it with white, or if you have like a silver or a gray, you could use that too, and you paint it over the scales, so the whole cup is going to look white, but once you wipe it off, it looks so much better. So here's me starting that process, making sure I get every inch or every ridge down. You can also do this with mica powder, but I did not have mica powder. Mica powder probably would have helped so much better and dry. Like, I probably could have done it a lot faster, because with alcohol inks, which is what I'm using, you have to wait 24 hours for it to dry, sometimes 48 hours, or else it's really greasy and slimy and everything moves around too much. But with the vinyl that I'm using, it did not slip and slide around. But here I am painting every single one. See, it looks kind of scary, but it's one of those trust the process. Then I wipe it down, and then voila, you can see. So it's like not noticeable, but it just makes those scales pop so much better, and I love it. And it just looks so much nicer than just the black on black. And then I, of course, coat some UV resin over it to seal it before we put down the resin. If you don't know that the resin, UV resin is really good. It does it really fast, so you won't get any holes from the vinyl. But if you just put resin right over the vinyl, it will create a bunch of holes from the air pockets in the vinyl. So it's really good to coat with either a clear coat of paint or a UV resin, which is better from what I was told. Now, I'm about to tell you what happened here, because this is where everything starts going south, and after this little clip, we'll be going on to a next project that I kind of did to fill in the last few minutes, because, well, you'll see.
Well, good thing I didn't decide to do both cups, because I don't know if you could tell, it looks like I freaking painted this with glue. Somehow, this, oh my gosh, it's literally smoking. Oh my goodness. I need to take this out. Mixing instructions are only recommendations. Please understand the larger mixes will cure faster and smaller mixes will cure slower. If your mixes are running hot, apply to your application quicker and or mix smaller batches. Okay. So I made a big batch, which then cured super fast, because right now it's tacky to the point like it's almost making tapping noises. Like, that's practically glass. So what I might do is just sand it once it cures. I'm going to sand it and then apply a second coat, because it's already hardening. It's not going to be long till I just have to apply a second coat. So that's crazy. I just wasn't expecting that, and I did have to run in and clean up my toddler because she made a mess in the middle of me doing this. So when she gets out of the bathroom, I'm going to try again. So let me go and attend back at my daughter. I was just trying not to burn down the house. It was smoking and scaring me. So that big batch was about, well, it's left. It was about 4 ounces, which isn't really a lot, but yeah, it started smoking, and this says it's an indoor thing, and I'm still like, I still have a window open in my room. I have a window open, the door's open, like I'm in a well ventilated area. And oh, but we're gonna try that again. Maybe only do 2 ounces this time, because that was a lot. But that's curing pretty good, even for a bad sloppy mix.
Okay, so here I am cleaning up all of my resin stuff, putting all my projects away for resin, and getting ready for some sewing projects, because even though what I said in there is that I would sand it down and reapply the resin, my husband, he wanted to sand it down with his belt sander, and it ate up a lot of the resin super quickly, but super quickly to where it went down to the cup and it was showing metal through all of the vinyl that I had put down on the or for the scales. So I just was like, you know what, we're just gonna start over. I put it in a bucket with a bunch of paint thinner, and so I just decided to go ahead and get started on these facial scrubbies, because I needed to make more. Instead of selling them 4 in a pack on my Poshmark and Etsy, I'm going to sell them 10 in a pack, and I might do 15 down the road, but I don't think I had enough of the not toilet paper, the towel backing or the terry cloth for it. So I have to go and get more, because it's like an hour away that I have to go get more terry cloth. But my daughter was helping me. That's why I have to blur her out. And she was using her own little scissors to help me, or to cut with me, quote unquote. You know, she was cutting all the scrap pieces and I was just cutting all the main pieces. But I take this one lid, and obviously I trace around and I cut it, and I put the terry cloth with the same lid and cut around that so everything's the same. And then I use my serger to go around the sides or the edging. It still looks like there's raw edges, because these are kind of like a sustainable, organic kind of product. So I like the raw edges. It helps with that organic look or the sustainable look. It just looks nice and rugged, I guess you could say, for the bathroom. It adds like a nice little aesthetic look. But the serger also cleans it up a whole lot. Some people do the zigzag stitch all the way around, and I just like using my serger. It just looks a lot more cleaner, but also with the raw edges, it looks like it's organic, or it has a certain look to it. I don't know. But I just iron every single piece, make sure they're flat, and I've gotten used to my serger enough to where I don't pin down the pieces together. I just sandwich them together, put them through the serger, and just sew all the pieces all together. And I was able to do about, I want to say 40, maybe 100 of these in seconds. So if you want a quick little project, this is also one of those quick little projects that are easy to do for to make money off of. But this is all the different types of rounds that I have that I'm adding to. And these are not the ones that I had before. I have even more in the closet. But even though I don't sell a lot of these, I like to have more options, or more, I like to add to them to see if they would sell if there was just more products with them. But I think if I ever did a market, these would sell super quick. But that's the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Part 2 will be up next week, and you'll finally get to see the final results, hopefully, of the his and hers dragon cups.